Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Top Gun, Ice, by Michael Anderle, narrated by Eva Wilhelm. Chapter 1. Mia suppressed the groan as she staggered down the hallway toward her room, trailed by her friends Paul, Ryoko, and Karen. She'd always prided herself on her endurance. Countless wilderness training exercises had forced her to stay up for days, but somehow they hadn't prepared her for her latest battle. That's the way she viewed the partying following the final exam, first at the station, then down on the planet. Her group of friends had something to celebrate. They'd all passed and earned their slots in the KCAP Navy's Top Gun program, despite the last-minute necessity of putting together an alliance against conspiring top-level candidates. It had been worth it. Mia wouldn't have minded a true free-for-all, even if she didn't think it was a good test. The biased and short-sighted scoring system the instructors had put together for the final exam demanded a proportionate response. Top Gun was her future. It was also the future of her closest, first and only for that matter, friends. She still wasn't sure how to classify Abigail. She was a friend, but she almost felt like a new replacement family. There was the minor issue of Mia having to serve time on a prison planet first. The looming punishment hadn't stopped her friends from wanting to hang out. She'd never imagined relaxation would prove so draining. "Don't you think this is all a bit much?" Mia asked. Paul Stansford patted her shoulder. "Come on, Mia, live a little. We've got time off and more time to party. It's better than sitting around doing more exercises and busy work. You, of all people, should be living your last few days of freedom for a while to their fullest." Karen grinned. "Sitting alone in a small room and brooding is right up Mia's alley. If they stuck a sim in her cell, she'd think it was heaven." Calling it heaven was going too far, but Mia couldn't argue with the sentiment. She missed ground-based tactical training exercises, though a well-equipped gym and a solid fighter simulation setup went a long way toward keeping her satisfied. She doubted her cell would be so well-equipped. If it weren't for her secret mission, her sentence was bound to be boring. Ryoko gasped. "Karen, how can you say something like that?" "Sorry." Karen rubbed the back of her neck. "I shouldn't be making jokes about you having to spend a month locked up." "It's fine," Mia assured her. "I'm prepared to serve my sentence. I never thought I could pull my prank and not suffer punishment." "I'm still blown away that you did it," Paul put in. "Of everyone in the class, I figured you for the last person to do anything like that. Not that I mind. I'm impressed. Damned impressed." "It just happened. I didn't plan it out." Mia shrugged as she lied. No matter how much she liked her friends, bringing them into her true mission was too dangerous. A lazy word dropped at the wrong time could get her and them killed. She'd have to continue down her lonely path to the truth until she could protect those around her. "It will be useful training in POW survival," she added. "That in and of itself gives it value. I'm considering the whole thing an extended training exercise." "POW survival?" Paul laughed. "How did I know you were going to say that? Not everything has to be a training exercise, Mia. You can just say it sucks you're going to ice." "No, everything doesn't need to be an exercise. That doesn't mean almost everything can't be if approached with the right mindset." Mia stopped at her door. "But I need to bow out for now. They told me I'm fine as long as I don't leave the planet. They aren't sending me right away." Karen leaned in and Mia tensed as her friend embraced her. "Don't get hauled off to jail before we see you again," Karen ordered. "And don't piss off any more superior officers." Mia managed a tight smile. "I'll try. No promises." She would do whatever was necessary to get information about her father, including extending her stay on ice if she thought it would help. For now, a month should be easy to take. Ryoko yawned and stretched her arms. "I'm ready to turn in too." Paul groaned. "I can't believe you guys. Nobody's even drunk and you're already done? Do you have any idea how busy things are going to be for us once we settle in at Top Gun? It might be months before we can relax like this again." "We also have over a month before the next program round starts," Ryoko pointed out. We don't have to spend that entire time partying. We'll have plenty of time sitting around the facility."
"No, we don't have to party." Paul offered her a toothy grin. "No reason not to. Don't you get it? We're going into the Top Gun program. We're the elites of the elites. Work hard, play hard."
Karen waved to Mia and Ryoko. "Rest a few hours, Stansford, and then go back to the battle." She winked at Mia. "You don't want to win the battle and go on to lose the war."
"If you say so," Paul grumbled. "I'll win both."
Mia nodded to her companions, then opened her door and stepped inside her room. She'd never thought much about how small it was. Barely a closet with a desk and bed, and smaller than both her bedroom at her house and the room she'd lived in at Abigail's apartment in Felsk. She didn't fear small places, though she'd spent most of her childhood in the wide expanse of the Wilderlands outdoors on her home planet. Countless training exercises had forced her into tight, confined conditions for long periods. She was ready for any possibility and prepared to suffer for the mission. The size of her room didn't matter. She did her exercise in other places, and a tight area meant she could concentrate on the matter at hand. Mia sat on the edge of her bed, considering, would things be the same at ICE? A cell was more confining than a tiny room. She'd purposefully humiliated an officer as part of a plan to get to ICE and find some information about her father that Abigail had tracked to the prison planet. Only her skill and Abigail's connections had saved Mia from losing her position in the Top Gun program. The thoughts swirled together as she took in the enormity of everything that had happened since Valerie Kalan had informed Mia of her father's death. Mia's investigation and attempted assassination had led her to jail, Abigail, and the training prep program for Top Gun. Even if Mia wasn't being sent to ICE, she would be leaving her room and sent to share space with the other Top Gun candidates in the barracks of a local base. They would spend their time on standby before the official training began. A small chuckle escaped her. Between her jail time in Felsk and her upcoming incarceration on ICE, Mia was building up experience as a prisoner. She would prefer not to have to draw on it in the future. Her datapad beeped from her desk, followed by Debbie reporting, "Mia, Dr. Curie sent a message when you were out engaging in recreation." "You could have contacted me," Mia replied. "Things were busy, but not that bad." "Dr. Curie has encouraged minimal communications through sources other than this pad for security reasons. She also made it clear it wasn't a time-sensitive message, provided you returned within a day of receipt of the message." Mia nodded. "Okay, what did she have to say?" "She wanted to confirm you were successful in your efforts." "I don't understand. I already told her I was." "She was concerned about administrative changes, particularly, as she put it, last-minute changes of heart that either made the situation better or worse." "Everything's the same," Mia assured her. "I'm not sure, but I have the feeling the Navy is trying to keep this incident quiet, which is why they're letting me stick around for a few days while they finish the arrangements to send me off to ICE. And they're letting me walk around free. They could have thrown me in a cell and told me to wait." Debbie continued, her tone as clipped and British as ever. "Dr. Curie wanted to also confirm if you wanted to spend your last few days with her before any trips off-world to penal colonies." Mia let out a long sigh. "I've been thinking about that, and I'm not sure." "Oh? You anticipated the question?" "I blew everybody off for the rest of the night," Mia began. "But I am enjoying spending time with my friends." The last word came out in a whisper, as if voicing it would make it disappear. Friendship and friends remained nebulous in Mia's mind. The only thing certain was she had some humans besides Abigail that she trusted. "Then I don't understand the issue," Debbie prompted. "I was planning to sleep and spend more time with them," Mia explained. "But I also want to spend time with Abigail." She shrugged. "It's almost like a kid torn between their friends and parents. Abigail's the closest thing I have to family now." Mia didn't know how to feel about that. She'd spent so much time with Abigail shortly after the death of her father. Projecting her filial emotions onto the scientist might have been unfair no matter how much she wanted to help. "I see," Debbie replied. I'm not programmed to make those sorts of decisions for you. I could easily select at random if you'd prefer.
That's not what I want. Mia lay back on her bed, staring up at the nondescript ceiling and wondering if there'd be more character in her cell on ice. So many things have happened since my dad died. I don't always have a chance to sit down and think about it. I've had to focus so much on the investigation and getting through the program. It was both easier and harder than I thought. Not everything can be solved by taking someone down. I've learned that the hard way.
Dr. Curie wanted me to make it clear that this is optional, Debbie told Mia. She won't be offended regardless of your choice.
Mia had gotten this far because of Abigail. She would have never come up with the idea of going into Top Gun herself. The cold truth was that Mia's big secondary plan had been to invade Valerie Kalan's old office and see what she could come up with, or beat the answers out of the next batch of assassins. Upon reflection, she saw all the issues with the idea. It would almost certainly have ended with another shootout and no easy way to escape a much longer stay in jail. Mia owed Abigail far more than she could repay. The mission to discover the truth of her father's death would be over if it weren't for Abigail.
I'll see my friends again at Top Gun, Mia decided. Even when I take into account the time I'll lose on ice, we'll have time together before the pressure of the program fills up our every waking moment. I need to practice thinking long-term. This is a good time to do that. Shall I relate to Dr. Curie that you intend to visit her then? Debbie asked. Yes, I'll take a shuttle over in the morning. I have to stop somewhere first to deal with the consequences of my actions.
Mia flexed her fingers and frowned at the thin white band tight around her wrist. She looked at the bored MP tapping away at his datapad. He kept glancing between the pad and the band. "You ever have a DT before?" he asked. Pointing out that they hadn't bothered to stick a demerit tracker on her when she'd been in jail didn't seem necessary. She was taking a huge risk by giving up her position. She hadn't thought much about it until the previous night and was working on a plan to deal with the problem, one that would require outside help. "Don't try and take it off under any circumstances," the MP ordered. He snickered. "Not that you'd be able to break the mag seal without taking off your wrist in the process."
"And have you seen that?" Mia asked.
The MP's brow went up and he shrugged.
"Once, AWOL soldier picked up after murdering his CO. The guy..." He grimaced. "If you're getting any crazy ideas, the guy died from shock from his wounds shortly after getting his DT off."
"I don't intend to lose my hand," Mia reasoned. "My muscle memory would be thrown off by prosthetics."
"Ah," he shrugged. "More power to you if you want to try, and in case you're thinking you don't have to cut through your wrist, the thing's programmed to send out an alert after more than 2 failed code attempts. That alert's going to bring people with guns who aren't going to be happy."
"And this does more than keep track of me," Mia noted.
The MP nodded.
"Yep. Also, think of it as your ticket for ice." He smirked. "I'll let the transport know where you're going, and they'll let you know via the DT when you need to report for transport."
He lowered his datapad, his smile fading.
"And don't leave the planet. Not even suborbital. You try that, you'll be considered a runner, and then people with guns and ships will come looking for you. It's not any easier to get off in 0G either."
"I don't intend to run from my punishment. I have Top Gun waiting for me after I serve my sentence."
The MP rolled his eyes.
"Yeah, I heard. Must be good to be connected." He nodded toward the door. "Now get out of here. I don't want to see you again until I have to salute you and call you ma'am."
Mia hadn't thought much about her commissioning. None of the cadets passing the exam would be granted their rank until they arrived at the Top Gun program, though they were already subject to military regulations as official active-duty cadets. That left her in a bizarre limbo despite having earned the right to join the KCAP Navy's most elite fighter program. She headed toward the door.
"It's unlikely I'll ever do anything like that again. I doubt we'll see each other again."
"I hope not," the MP shot back. because that means you've gotten in trouble, and someone like you has better things to do than rot inside a cell. Leave the stupid bullshit for the non-elite idiots and stick to doing what you do best."
She stopped at the door. "And you don't find what I did offensive?" Her curiosity had been building. The danger of the strategy of antagonizing a high-ranking officer came partially from his connections to the rest of the local military. The MP scoffed. "Everyone's trying to keep shit quiet, but we all know the only reason you're getting nailed despite being a Top Gun elite is because an asshole was banging someone he shouldn't be and got caught. The only reason he's not getting busted down right away is because the higher-ups don't want the Navy to look bad. Bad luck for you that your prank pissed him off. Hard to say if things would have been better or worse if there'd been 2 civilians in there when you did it." "Yes," Mia replied. "Nothing but bad luck." The public perception of the incident fascinated Mia. To her, the whole situation above the station and her careful, targeted flaring of the officer screamed obvious planning. No one, including the victim, appeared to agree. A stunning success with no one the wiser. Perfection. She nodded to the MP and left. She had a shuttle to catch to Abigail's place. Sitting on Abigail's couch, Mia held up her wrist. "Isn't this going to complicate the next mission?" "By next mission, you mean the recovery of the data on ice?" Abigail asked. Mia nodded. "Yes." Abigail leaned over to peer at the DT. She held up a thin, pen-sized scanner. "That remains to be seen. It's not as if I didn't anticipate something like this when I suggested the plan." "You didn't mention it before." "Because it was an unnecessary detail to concern yourself with until now." Abigail ran her thumb along the edge of the scanner and picked up a nearby datapad. "The best way to solve a problem is by getting rid of unnecessary variables." Mia wanted to object. She couldn't find a valid objection. "Then what's next?" she asked. Abigail waved the scanner over the DT. "First of all, let me examine the device in earnest. There's no point in planning our way around a problem if it won't be a problem." The next minutes passed in frustration for Mia. Abigail waved the scanner for less than 30 seconds over the DT before focusing on her datapad. She swiped through results on her datapad and offered a surprising variety of hmms and uhs. Right when Mia had lost her patience, Abigail looked up with a determined expression. "This might be more of an issue than I anticipated," Abigail admitted. "The dark sector of ice I need you to travel to is a distance away from where you'll be imprisoned. I was hoping this was older technology, but as it stands, this DT will make it difficult, if not impossible, for you to go where you need to without being detected." "You said you'd anticipated this," Mia admonished her. "I anticipated a tracking device, yes. Using resources here, I can send a false signal." "Then it's not a problem." Abigail shook her head. "It's something I can only accomplish when I'm within a modest distance of the device, and even then it would be a short time. This device is surprisingly advanced given our location. This will force a change in strategy. I won't be there with you on ice or have the equipment there." Mia ground her teeth. "I won't give up after getting so close to information about my dad. I'll go and fight them off if I need to. We can figure out an extraction strategy." "And that would mean you'll never get into Top Gun. This information, based on what little I know, will be a clue about your father, not the full truth. A clue will allow me to follow up. And you're ready to give up Top Gun when you don't have to? We went out of our way to set up a situation where you wouldn't have to make that choice." Abigail folded her arms and frowned at Mia. "I would have hoped after all that time in training you would have had your strategic planning skills reinforced. You don't want to win the battle—" "Win the battle to lose the war," Mia finished. She took a deep breath. "You're right, I'm sorry." "Apology accepted." Abigail motioned to the DT. "I said, as it stands, this will be a problem. One doesn't need to be elite military personnel to understand that when the conditions of the battlefield don't favor you, first you should see if you can do anything to alter those conditions." "But you said you couldn't help me on ice. You can modify the DT permanently?"
Or remove it?
I'll need to be careful, Abigail maintained. Any mistake that transmits evidence of tampering will end these efforts for both of us. Though, yes, I believe I can modify the device without alerting the military authorities.
Then let's get started. Mia motioned to a window. Just because they say I have 3 days before the transport arrives isn't a guarantee. Under the conditions of my agreement, they could send me out on any ship.
I would love to help you, but unfortunately I need some key items to do so without cracking the thing open and summoning every angry young soldier with a gun on the planet.
Can you order the things you need? Mia asked.
Attempting to do this from first principles would take too long. Fortunately, I have thought of a shortcut.
Then why aren't we starting with that?
Because that shortcut involves getting our hands on a DT encryption matrix, Abigail explained. With access to a matrix, I could get through the security and perform the maintenance.
Mia nodded slowly. Abigail's expression had shifted during the explanation, growing more concerned with each sentence. And where do we get one of these encryption matrices? Mia pressed.
It'll require an infiltration operation of sorts.
Mia shrugged. I can handle infiltration.
It'll require an infiltration of a military police depot, Abigail clarified. By tomorrow morning, I should have a good idea of where you'll need to go once inside. This still presents difficulties, as there's no way I can get you in there through normal channels. I can't even get myself inside without raising suspicion.
She entered a command in her pad and held it up. A blurred satellite image traced a military installation on the other side of the planet. Mia narrowed her eyes. She recognized the general shape of the facility. This is close to where I would have been staying if it weren't for ice. She gestured to the pad. And that's also where I had to go to get the DT.
Abigail shrugged. Of course, we'd have no chance if we had to grab a random encryption matrix. It would take too long.
People might recognize me there if I'm spotted, Mia pointed out.
Then don't get caught.
Mia smiled. Logistics and recon win battles. She pointed toward the edge of the base. This is a public park. There's nothing in my confinement agreement about me staying out of public parks. Abigail frowned and turned the datapad around. Her breath caught.
Ah, it wouldn't be unusual for a guardian to spend time with a graduating cadet. The fact that we're close to the base isn't suspicious in that context. We could go on a picnic.
The smile and lift in Abigail's voice surprised Mia. She didn't think Abigail would be so interested in a field operation. Mia nodded. Exactly. You figure out what you need to do. Tomorrow, we're recon picnicking. Watching a drone out of the corner of her eye, Mia nibbled on her sandwich. She was careful to match her pace to Abigail's. They'd finished a long, drawn-out meal on the other side of the park, closer to a fence than their current path. Any remotely alert security might take notice of them if they stopped for a second picnic. For now, wandering the park supplied sufficient explanation. Mia spotted the occasional civilian, mostly contractors, she assumed, lounging near a garden or under a tree. Off-duty military personnel wandered through, having conversations about what they were going to do with their time off.
"Are we getting what you need?" whispered Abigail.
Mia nodded, using a convenient turn in the path for a direct look at a fence. "And you know where I need to go once I'm inside?"
"I have a general layout, yes."
Abigail quieted as a drone skimmed the nearby fence, waiting until it turned and disappeared over the base.
"That's the best I can do. There's no great help I can offer you once you're inside, other than my signal disruptions, both the general and limited-use temporary devices that should help you past key checkpoints."
Mia thought that all sounded rather good and helpful. She'd been concerned about how to handle internal security.
"I can also get you through one door without trouble," Abigail went on. "I have something I prepared. It looks like nothing more than a data chip. It'll fry its own internal circuitry after one use."
Mia raised her brow. That was a surprisingly useful device. She wasn't going to question why Abigail knew how to make something like that.
"That'll be enough." Mia gestured to a tree in the distance. "They have too many obstructions close to the fence. I can use those to potentially get inside."
"They have a full suite of sensors, too," Abigail reported.
Mia gave a firm nod. "Yes, but it's all about timing. I've practiced infiltrating military installations hundreds of times."
Abigail stared at her for a moment. "Of course you have. But this isn't a training scenario, Mia."
"Is this the best, most efficient way to get what we need to modify the DT?"
"Yes, it is."
"Then we're doing it." Mia forced a smile as a pair of soldiers in exercise clothes jogged by. "I'm not giving up when I'm this close. Once I'm inside, though, I think I'll need a distraction when I penetrate the depot itself."
Abigail chuckled. "I have an idea. You might not like it, but it'll work."
Chapter 2. A beautiful, clear sky and a gentle breeze made for a relaxing late morning for Mia and Abigail as they sat together on a park bench. Anyone walking by would see two women chatting. They might think a mother and daughter were spending a relaxing day together, not a clandestine pair planning illegal entry into a military installation. No one had walked by in 20 minutes, though, leaving Mia and Abigail free to confirm the details of the plan. Abigail reached into her pocket.
"Remember, my signal misdirection efforts will become increasingly unstable with time, both for your DT and the cameras covering your entrance zone. I'd estimate you have a maximum of an hour once I initiate the process. With luck, they might last longer. I wouldn't plan on it."
Mia nodded. "That's fine. I'll only need an hour." She glanced at the fence in the distance. Regular drone patrol routes are a poor security practice. Enemy observation makes it easy to find the holes. I'm surprised at the base personnel. They should be using randomized routes.
"This isn't an unstable planet in rebellion," Abigail pointed out, looking amused. "And the vast majority of people living on this planet are in the military or close military support. It's more about making intrusion an inconvenience than tight security. I doubt anyone other than a drunk soldier trying to beat a base curfew has attempted what we're about to do here."
"That's stupid. They're letting their guard down. Waiting until you expect trouble is waiting too long."
Abigail shook a finger. "Never begrudge stupidity that works to your advantage. I wouldn't spend too much time being offended."
She craned her back up and stared at the blue sky.
"It's interesting. I don't remember the last time I spent so much time outdoors."
Mia gave her a puzzled look. "Don't you go outside every day on your way to your work?"
"I spend minutes, if not seconds, walking from buildings into vehicles and vice versa. Appreciating natural beauty is something far different. The sky is clear. The sun is shining. It's unfortunate we have to spend time here only to plan a break-in."
"Why else would we be here?" Mia stared at Abigail. Abigail looked startled, then smoothed out her features.
"You have a point."
Mia was confused. She didn't understand why Abigail would want to be in the park otherwise. The researcher had plenty of opportunities to visit the park during Mia's training time. "I'd prefer a cloud-covered and foggy nighttime for the mission," Mia maintained. "I understand it would be too difficult to explain why my tracking pointed to this area in the middle of the night. That's unfortunate."
"There is still a chance they'll connect your presence in the park with the theft," Abigail warned her. "There's not much I can do about that on my end."
"There are no certainties during a mission, only acceptable risk curves based on mission goals."
Abigail placed her hand on Mia's shoulder. "I understand that you want to do this."
"No," Mia corrected her. "I don't want to do this. I have to do this. Unless you have a better plan that we can execute that will take care of the DT. As long as I'm being tracked, my mission on ice will fail before it starts."
"You understand that if something goes wrong, this could go far beyond you ending up in another cell. You could be shot."
Abigail gestured to Mia's cadet uniform.
"And that clothing is no guarantee of anything if they find you in a place they don't expect you. As it is, this plan will likely require you to get your hands on another uniform. Now that I consider all the variables, I question if this is the best option."
"A safe mission isn't a mission, it's an errand, and I've been shot." Mia shrugged. I've been stabbed. I survived. The men who did that to me didn't. But the goal here is infiltration, not killing local security. This won't work if you kill any soldiers inside. They're not...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?